Hey guys, welcome to the part 2 of create animation for orange juice commercial. In the part 2 we start creating this effect that you can see here, that liquid goes around the bottle, and we're doing this in Xparticle in Cinema 4D. Okay, for those of you that are not familiar with the Xparticle, Xparticle is a really cool plugin for Cinema 4D, not just for simulating the particles and liquids and smoke, this kind of stuff, and also for very attractive visual effects. Okay, let's get started. The first thing that you need in Xparticle, and I really suggest to use this system because it keeps everything tidy and you have all you need in different folders, and it's really easy to navigate. As you can see, we have one default emitter here. If you play the start, you can see start generating some particles for you. So basically what we're trying to do here is we're generating some particles and force them to follow a path and create this kind of spiral shape that you see in the video. Okay, the first thing that we need to do here, we're going to delete this default emitter, and also I want to get rid of this logo to have a cleaner scene to work with. So you can come to this XP system and go and uncheck the icon in viewport. So this way you don't see it in the scene again. You have to go to the dynamic, and we're going to call one XP explosion effect. What you get here is a cube with a kind of grate at the back. So this is the area that's simulating the smoke for us. And you can see kind of grate at the back. The grate actually show us the size of voxel that we have in this area. If you are familiar with any plugin or software that generating smoke or liquid, you know that they work with voxels. Voxels are basically a cube that calculating this simulation for us, and the grade in the back you can see in this area is the size of the voxel that we have. And you can change the size of this voxel if you come to the attribute for this dynamic, and here you can see the voxel size and you can make them bigger. You can see when we make a bigger voxel, the number of voxel that you have in this grade going to be reduced. So we keep it something around 4 for now. What we need here is to create some smoke to drive the particles. So we don't need really small voxels, because when you make small voxels, the time of calculation for dynamics and for generating smoke or liquid gonna be really high. So we keep it around 4 here. Now we need something to generate smoke for us. So I'm using one torus here, and this is really big right now, so we change the size to something around 40 and reduce the amount for 10. Yeah, something like that's gonna work for us. And I'm going to reposition this torus here, and you can see where is it. You need to make sure that any object that's supposed to generate the smoke for you need to be in this area, otherwise they not gonna generate anything. The latest release of Xparticle, it's become amazing because they create lots of tools to make it easier to use. For example, here you have one XP Quick Tools, and it used to be like this. You had to first create one emitter, then choose the option to generate the particles from the object, then you have to go assign the object to there. Right now they make lots of shortcuts here, and the only thing that you need to do is choose the object and push this button here, emit from the object, and it do everything automatically for you. And if you push it, you can see the particle start to going up. Okay, now what we need to do is we don't need this torus to generate particle for us. We need smoke. So I'm gonna delete the emitter here, and you need a tag. Right now, if you just play, you can see nothing generated. So we need a tag to give this to this torus to generate smoke for us. So go to the tag and go to the Xparticle tag, and you need one XP Explosia FX source. And if you hit play here, you can see it generates smoke for us. Okay, now we have the smoke, but we need somehow to control the way that this smoke behave and send it to the direction that we need. For this purpose, we need another dynamic that we're going to call it from the dynamic tab here, and this one is XP flow field. What you get here is a box with lots of arrow. So let me disable this dynamic here to show you what exactly it does. If I have one emitter here that generate particle for us, look what happened here. Every particle that goes to this box follow the direction of these arrows here. So as you can see, with this arrow we can control the direction of each particle. So we need to use this flow field effect to tell the smoke and particles to follow one spill line. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna delete this emitter. It was just for example, and we need one helix here. So I'm gonna change the direction of the helix, and we need to adjust the size. Okay, now we have a right size, and just make sure that your spill line is actually inside this box. So what we need to do now is tell all the arrows to follow this spill line. For this, we're going to XP flow field attributes, and in follow you need to change it to along the spill line, and you also need to tell it what spill line actually it needs to follow. So I'm gonna give this helix to the object, and you can see here that all the arrows around this all the arrows around this spill line right now in the direction that it goes up, and they turned green. Okay, this different color in the arrows shows that we have fall off here, but we don't need fall off for following this smoke. We need to all these arrows actually work together to make this smoke follow this spill line. So in the settings, I'm gonna uncheck the fall off effect here. So now you can see everything back to yellow, but they still follow the direction of this spill line. And if you push the play here again, you see nothing happened. It just do the same thing as before. That's because we need to tell this explosive effect to consider this follow field effect. So we choose explosion effect, and we're going to the modifier, and we ask it to consider this follow field effect. So now if you start playing, you can see that smoke start to follow this spill line. At the beginning, you maybe notice that it's kind of affecting the smoke, but it's not really follow in the way that we like. That's because the strength of this effect is really low. We need to take it something like 60, and if you redo it again, you can see it nicely going to follow the spill line. Okay, let's make this flow field effect invisible to see stuff better. And right now, what I don't like about this is it's really uniform. I mean, there is like a big thick of smoke that's going up. I need a little bit of randomness. So the way to do this is we can give one vibrate tag to this torus. From the Cinema 4D tags, we're going to vibrate, and you need to enable the position. Right now the only X axis is active, so we needed to move in Y axis as well. So I'm gonna put 100 to the axis, to Z axis again, and let's see what happened. Yeah, you can see we have like a random movement here. I think it's too much, so we're going to decrease it to 50. There we go. And let's try again. Yeah. As you can see, we have a kind of randomness here. And if you want to adjust it, you need to move this spline to start from center of this torus. Okay, now we have the smoke that we want, and we need some particles to go along with this simulation that we have here. So what we need to do is to make this torus to generate some particles. So I use again the Xparticle quick tools and tell it that I need this torus to generate some particle for us. And if you play, you can see the particle start to generating. But something that happening here is this smoke have no impact on these particles right now. Let me disable this smoke here. And if I play it again, still following this speed line, but I'm not looking for this kind of movement because it doesn't look really organic or the way that liquid behavior. That's because these particles now using this flow field effect. And if you go to the particle that we generated, you can see it has kind of speed, and by default it's going up. So the first thing that we need to do is to kill this speed here, okay? And the other thing that we need to tell this particle is to ignore this follow field effect. So we're going to the particle and we're going to modifier. The first window of modifiers says exclude. So we're going to exclude this flow field effect from the particle that we have. Okay, now you can see that this particle is just generating, and now we need to tell the smoke to advocate this particle. So in the XP Explosion effect, you go to the advocation and you need to active this option. So now you can see these particles going along the SP line with exactly same behavior that our smoke. So now you can see the particles are black, and when you come to the attributes of this XP explosion effect, you can see in advocate that we just activated all these parameters right now affecting the particles like smoke, burn, temperature. So we don't need any of them except velocity. So I'm going to kill all these parameters, and the main thing that make this particle black is because we also using color to affect this particle. So if I kill this color and I start to generating the particle again, you can see it's turned to green again. The another problem that we need to solve here is, as you can see, all the particles get stuck at the top, and this is because they reach to the boundary of the area of simulation. If I activate this one, you can see where exactly they stuck. So there's a simple way to fix this. you need to go to the control modifier and choose one XP kill modifier. So right now it's too big, so we're going to change the size to 400 by 400, what we exactly have for other modifier. So right now, if you continue to generate this, you can see that still some of them stuck in the top. So what we need to do is make it a little bit smaller. Push the play again, and you see the modifier reach to the top, and because of this XP kill modifier, they're going to disappear, and this is exactly what we want. Okay, now that all the particles moving in a really organic way, and this is exactly what we want, but they are a little bit slow for liquid that we want. So I'm gonna change it with explosion effect. I'm going to buoyancy, if I pronounce it right, and this is the speed of smoke here. So we're going to add a little bit of speed to the smoke, and yeah, you can see these particles moving a little bit faster. Let me add more speed to the smoke. There you go. Yeah, now this is what we want. This is what gonna generate a good liquid effect for us. Okay, that was a good start, and to creating a liquid effect, we need more particle here. So I'm going to the emitter that we generated, and we're going to emission and put the burst rate to something around 5,000. Let me see what we get. Still need more, so I'm going to make it way more, like 50,000. Let's see what we get here. Yes, that's the right. Now this is the right amount of particle that we need to generate the liquid. Okay, what is the next step? Now we need to generate the geometry that generate the water effect for us. So we need to go to the generation, and in the generation you need to choose XP OVDB mesher. So this modifier make a mesh from the particle that you have. Right now we don't we need to tell it which particle need to be meshed. So scroll down and you can see a source window here. You need to take the particle that you have and put it here. At the beginning it's gonna generate something really blobby and thick. Okay, now we need to fix this kind of blobby shape that you get here. If you change the view to ground shading, you can see all the polygons that generated to make this kind of mesh. So two things that you need to change here is you can't reduce the point radius here. So as much as you go down, it's gonna be more detailed. One more thing that you need to know, if you go down too much, it's gonna be disappear. That's because voxel size that generate this kind of match for us right now at 4, and it doesn't have enough information right now. So what we need to do is make sure that the number between the point radius and the voxel size have kind of balance. For example, if I put it on 5 or 3 and I start to reduce the size of voxel here, you can see you get lots of detail here. So let's put it on 1, and let's put this point radius on something like 2, and we see what we get here. So it's really blobby, still really blobby, and let's put it on 2 and this one on 3. Okay, so it's better, but still way away that what we want. Another thing that we need to do here is working with filters in Measure and make this uh, blobby shape much smoother and more detailed. Okay, now we need to go to the filter and we're going to activate it. So as soon as we activate it, you see that this geometry gets smoother, and that because we have one median filter here. So what we're looking for is actually we don't need this median. I'm gonna delete it and we're back to what we had before, and I'm going to add one Gaussian. And, you see that it's make it more smooth, but still it's too thick for the effect that we're looking for. So another filter that we're going to add is offset. Offset is with the offset you basically can reduce the amount of polygon that are around the particles. So here I go to the offset. By the way, you can control the strengths of the Gaussian that you have here and turn it down or up, and you see the effect that we get it from here. And now in the offset I'm going to make this effect stronger here. You see that it start to looks like a liquid more and more. So let's add more Gaussian, and I think it's good, maybe a little bit more offset. So it's good right now, and I think for the final touch we can go to the general option and reduce the voxel size to 1, and also let's see what we get here. Yeah, right now it has lots of polygon, and I think we need another filter here, so I'm gonna add one. Let me see here, another Gaussian. You need to play with these filters to get what you want, and it's basically you have to eyeball it. I can't give you exact number that make it looks good. So I think right now we're good with. Okay, now you have your effect, and anytime that you play it, all the particles and these meshes going to be generated, and your system need to be calculated again, and it's gonna be take lots of time. The best way to save some time here is you need to kind of cache this process. So the way to do this is you going here to other object and you choose one XP cache. So a few option here is, first of all, where exactly you want to cache this. The first thing is external. External is you basically you save the cache somewhere in your system. You also can cache it internally, and the problem with this one is if you have lots of information and you cache it internally, every time that you want to save your file, all these caches need to be saved with your file, and it takes a long time. So the best way is to export it on your system. So you can come here and you tell your cache object that you need to go and save it somewhere. So I'm going to choose a folder here, and you just need to say build cache. So when you say build cache, it's going to start to making a cache for you. It's not taking a long time, maybe 10 minutes or something, but after you finish it, you always can read this information from your system, so you don't have to wait for all the simulation to calculate again. Okay, now the process of caching is finished. Based on information in this part, you can see that you have 11 gigabyte of cache saved on your system, and it takes 49 minutes. It's quite long time. Then it's because you have a lots of geometry on your object. But when you go to the timeline, you can see you don't have to load everything again, and you see your animation. Okay, now to see what we done here in Octane, we're going to load the Octane layout. There we go. And let's render it first. So you can see it's really a smooth geometry that we have for liquid. So let's give it some light and see what we have in Octane. The first thing I want to do, I need to add one HDRI environment here and load one HDRI file. There we go, and you can see the background here. You always can rotate this HDRI to get the best angle that you want. For example, here I think it's a good one because we have some shadow inside, some light around the edges, and it make it really 3D looking object. I always at the beginning have a kind of struggling to see how I can invisible the environment. I try the tag and everything, but the best way to hide your environment while still it's reflecting in your object is you need to add one texture environment. At the beginning you lost all the reflection, but this is the technique I want to show you. So you go to your texture environment, and in the type you set it as visible environment. So what happened is in the background you can see this texture environment, but all the reflection from your actual environment right now reflected in your object. If you remember, in the first spot we create a texture for the juice. So let me go to the bottle that we did and copy this material, and we can come here and give it to this liquid here. There you go here, and again you can directly go to the live viewer and assign the material to the object. And here we go, this is the result that we get, and you can change it to the right angle that you're looking for, or even play with the lighting, and you can always come to the HDRI file, and here you can rotate it to get different result, and it's really depend on you. Maybe the one thing that I need to do here, because the material that we made before, it was for juice inside the bottle. Maybe here the density is still a little bit high, so you can double click on the material, open the node editor, and in the scattering we can change the density to see what happened in the render viewer. Yeah, I think it make it more brighter, and also you can add some roughness to the material to see what we get. It's make it more like orange juice. And this is the end of this tutorial. If you like these tutorials, please subscribe to the channel. I try to make as much as possible tutorial for you and share all my knowledge in the channel. So stay tuned for the next tutorial, and see you in the next one.